Hello.
Ma'am, is everything good?
Yeah, everything's fine. Okay, what's going on?
You don't look all right. Do you need help?
I'm sorry.
Have you been drinking tonight? You've got kids in the car.
No, I haven't. I'm fine. We're just sitting here for a minute, that's all.
I can smell it, ma'am. Why don't you step out so we can talk?
I'm not drunk. Please, just leave me alone.
On October 18th, 2025, Officer Martinez of the Eastland Police Department responded to a dispatch call about a vehicle blocking traffic on Riverside Boulevard. What he found was a black SUV stopped dead in the middle of the road, driver's door hanging open, engine running, and a woman slumped behind the wheel claiming she was just looking for her phone. As his flashlight illuminated the interior, Officer Martinez noticed three things immediately: the unmistakable smell of alcohol, the woman's slurred speech, and three small children strapped into car seats in the back. When he asked if she'd been drinking, 28-year-old Monica Hayes insisted she was sober and demanded to be left alone, even as she struggled to maintain her balance in the driver's seat. What Hayes didn't realize was that her BodyCam recorded denial, combined with 3 endangered children and a failed field sobriety test, would turn a simple traffic stop into a felony child endangerment arrest that would cost her custody of her kids and land her in jail, facing up to 6 years in prison. Before we continue, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where you're tuning in from. If you believe driving drunk with children in the car deserves serious consequences, hit that like button and subscribe now. The radio crackled to life at 9:47 p.m. on a cold January evening. Dispatch reported a silver SUV blocking the right lane near the Eastland Shopping Plaza on Riverside Boulevard. Multiple drivers had called it in. The vehicle wasn't moving, the door was hanging open, and the engine was still running. Officer Martinez pulled out of the parking lot where he'd been finishing paperwork and headed toward the scene. It was a Tuesday night, and the plaza was mostly empty, except for a few late shoppers leaving the grocery store. The streetlights cast long shadows across the asphalt. As he turned onto Riverside, he spotted it immediately. A large silver pickup truck sat motionless in the middle of the road, exactly as described. The driver's side door was wide open, swinging slightly in the breeze. Hazard lights blinked lazily. Cars were going around it, honking as they passed. Martinez activated his body camera and pulled up behind the truck with his lights flashing. He approached carefully, one hand near his belt, flashlight in the other. Through the open door, he could see someone sitting in the driver's seat. A woman. She was leaning forward slightly, her hands moving around the center console like she was searching for something. He stopped a few feet from the door and called out in a calm, professional voice, "Ma'am? Is everything good?" The woman's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide, caught in the beam of his flashlight like a deer on a dark highway. For a moment, she just stared at him, mouth slightly open, as if she couldn't quite process what was happening. "Yeah," she finally said, her voice shaky and defensive. "Everything's fine." Martinez glanced past her into the truck. The dome light was on. The keys were in the ignition. The dashboard glowed with warning lights. Nothing about this situation looked fine. "You know you're parked in the middle of the road, right?" he asked, keeping his tone even. "With your door open?" She nodded quickly, too quickly. I know. I was just looking for my phone. I dropped it somewhere and I couldn't find it, and I stopped for a second. A second. The truck had been sitting there long enough for multiple people to call the police. Martinez took a step closer. That's when he smelled it, sharp and unmistakable. The thick, sour smell of alcohol pouring out of the open truck door and mixing with the cold night air. His jaw tightened. This wasn't just a distracted driver. This was something much worse. Martinez's flashlight swept across the woman's face, and he took in every detail with the trained eye of someone who'd done this job for 8 years. She was a black woman, probably in her late 20s or early 30s, wearing a dark hoodie with the zipper pulled halfway up. Her hair was natural, twisted into short curls that looked messy, like she'd been running her hands through them. Her eyes were bloodshot and glassy, reflecting the harsh white beam of the flashlight. She blinked rapidly, trying to shield her face from the light. Can you not point that at me?" she said, her voice carrying that particular tone Martinez had heard 1,000 times before. The entitled indignation of someone who knew they were caught but refused to admit it. "Ma'am, I need you to stay right there," Martinez said firmly. He shifted the light slightly but kept it on her. How long have you been sitting here? I told you, she snapped, sitting up straighter in the seat. I was looking for my phone. I live right over there. She waved vaguely toward the apartment complex across the street. Like 2 minutes away. I just stopped for a second. Martinez didn't move. You stopped in the middle of a moving lane of traffic, with your door open. That's dangerous, ma'am. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes at him. I'm fine. Okay? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to find my phone and go home. Her words came out slightly slurred, the consonants soft and running together. Just trying to find my phone and go home. She didn't seem to notice, or maybe she did and thought she could brazen her way through it anyway. Martinez took another step closer, positioning himself so he could see more of the truck's interior. The woman shifted in her seat, her body language changing from annoyed to nervous. She pulled the hoodie tighter around herself. Ma'am, have you been drinking tonight? Martinez asked directly. Her eyes went wide again, but this time with offense rather than surprise. Excuse me? No. Why would you even ask me that? Because I can smell alcohol coming from your vehicle. She let out a harsh laugh. That's ridiculous. I haven't been drinking. I'm a mother. I don't just go around drinking and driving. The word mother hit Martinez like a punch to the gut. His eyes immediately darted to the back seat, scanning the dark interior of the truck. At first, he saw nothing, just shadows and the faint outline of the rear seats. Then something moved. Martinez's flashlight beam swung toward the back of the truck, and his blood ran cold. 2 small faces stared back at him from car seats, wide-eyed and silent. One looked about 4 years old, the other maybe 6. Both were bundled in winter jackets, strapped in tight, watching the scene unfold with the kind of quiet confusion that broke his heart. You've got kids in the car, Martinez said, his voice dropping to something harder, colder. This wasn't just a drunk driver anymore. This was child endangerment. The woman's face shifted. The entitled attitude flickered for just a moment, replaced by something that looked almost like shame. But then the defensiveness came roaring back. Yes, I have kids. So what? They're fine. We were just going home. Ma'am, you're stopped in the middle of the road. You can barely speak clearly, and you're telling me you were going to drive these kids home? She sat up straighter, gripping the steering wheel like it might anchor her to some version of reality where this wasn't happening. I told you I'm not drunk. I was looking for my phone. That's all. You're making this into something it's not. Martinez shook his head slowly. Step out of the vehicle, please. What? No, I don't have to do that. Yes, ma'am, you do. Step out of the vehicle right now. Her jaw clenched. She looked at him like he was the problem, like he was the one ruining her night instead of the person who'd put 2 kids in danger. This is harassment. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just sitting here. You're sitting in the middle of a road with an open door showing signs of intoxication, with 2 children in the back seat, Martinez said, his patience wearing thin. Now, step out of the car or I will remove you myself. For a long moment, she didn't move. She just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead like if she ignored him long enough, he might disappear. The kids in the back remained silent, watching everything with those huge, scared eyes. Finally, she let out a loud, exaggerated sigh and reached for her seatbelt. Fine, whatever. But I'm not drunk. Martinez stepped back to give her room, but kept his hand near his belt. He'd seen situations like this turn bad in a heartbeat. The woman swung her legs out of the truck and planted her feet on the pavement. For a moment, she just sat there on the edge of the driver's seat, taking a breath like she was preparing for something difficult. Then she pushed herself up and immediately stumbled. Her right foot caught on something. Maybe the door frame, maybe nothing at all, and she lurched forward. She grabbed the door to steady herself, her fingers gripping the metal edge so hard her knuckles went pale. Whoa, easy, Martinez said, reaching out instinctively but stopping short of touching her. You okay? I'm fine, she snapped, straightening up with visible effort. My foot slipped. But Martinez had seen it, the way her legs didn't quite cooperate, the way she swayed slightly even when standing still, the way her eyes couldn't quite focus on his face. The smell of alcohol was stronger now that she was out of the truck. It hung around her like a cloud, mixing with the cold night air and the faint scent of French fries from the nearby fast food restaurant. "Ma'am, I need you to be honest with me," Martinez said, keeping his voice calm and measured. "How much have you had to drink tonight?" She straightened her hoodie and crossed her arms over her chest. "I already told you, I haven't been drinking. I don't know what you think you smell, but it's not me. It's coming directly from you. Well, maybe I spilled something earlier. I don't know, but I'm not drunk." Martinez pulled out his notepad. "What's your name?" She hesitated for a second too long. "Monica. Monica Hayes." "And where are you coming from tonight, Monica?" "The store. Just the grocery store right there." She pointed vaguely behind her at the plaza. "I was picking up a few things and then I was going home." "With your kids?" "Yes, with my kids. Because I'm their mother, and that's what mothers do. They take their kids places." Martinez wrote something down, then looked back up at her. "Did you drive to the store?" Another pause. "Yes." "And you were planning to drive home?" "Obviously, that's how cars work." Her tone was getting sharper, more aggressive. It was a defense mechanism Martinez had seen countless times. When people knew they were caught, they got loud. They got angry. They tried to make the officer the bad guy. "I'm gonna need you to perform some field sobriety tests," Martinez said evenly. Monica's eyes went wide. "Are you serious right now? I told you I'm not drunk." "Then you won't have any problem passing the tests." Monica stared at Martinez like he'd just asked her to solve a complicated math problem. "This is insane. I'm not doing your little tests. I know my rights." Martinez had heard that line before too. "Ma'am, in this state, driving is a privilege, not a right. By operating a vehicle, you've given implied consent to sobriety testing. If you refuse, your license will be automatically suspended, and I'll have grounds to arrest you immediately." Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked back at the truck where her kids sat watching, then back at Martinez. "Fine. Whatever, let's just get this over with." Martinez positioned her a safe distance from the traffic, near the front of his patrol car, where the headlights would provide better visibility. "I'm going to perform the horizontal gaze nystagmus test first. I need you to keep your head still and follow this pen with your eyes only." He pulled out a small pen light and held it about a foot from her face. "Don't move your head, just follow the light with your eyes." Monica tried. She really did. But even in the first few seconds, Martinez could see the telltale signs. As her eyes tracked the light moving left, they jerked involuntarily, little stuttering movements that indicated her brain's ability to control smooth eye movement was impaired. It was one of the most reliable indicators of alcohol intoxication. "Keep your head still," Martinez reminded her as she started to turn her whole head to follow the light. "I am keeping it still," she said, but she wasn't. Her neck kept trying to turn, her body compensating for what her eyes couldn't do smoothly. Martinez moved the light to the right, then back to center, checking for the angle at which the nystagmus began. It was there at every position, obvious and damning. "Okay," he said, lowering the light. "Now I'm going to have you perform the walk and turn test. I need you to take 9 heel-to-toe steps along this line. Turn around and take 9 heel-to-toe steps back. Keep your arms at your sides and count each step out loud." He demonstrated, walking a straight line on the pavement with exaggerated precision. Like this, heel to toe, heel to toe. Monica watched him with an expression that was half confusion, half annoyance. "Seriously? You want me to walk in a straight line?" "Yes, ma'am. If you're sober, it should be easy." She let out another one of those loud, dramatic sighs and positioned herself at the starting point. "Fine. This is stupid, but fine." Martinez stepped back. "Go ahead when you're ready." Monica lifted her right foot and immediately wobbled. She put it down quickly, adjusted her stance, and tried again. This time she managed to place her right heel against her left toe, but her arms shot out to the sides like she was walking a tightrope. "Arms at your sides, please," Martinez said. She yanked her arms down and took another step, then another. But each one was a struggle. Her foot placement was off, her heel landing beside her toe instead of touching it. On the 4th step, she stumbled sideways and had to catch herself. "Just hold on," she muttered, regaining her balance. "The ground is uneven here." Martinez glanced down at the perfectly flat parking lot pavement. "Continue, please." She made it to step 7 before she stopped completely, swaying in place. I can't do this. My shoes are wrong. These aren't the right shoes for this. She was wearing sneakers. Regular athletic shoes with flat soles. Ma'am, the shoes are fine. Please continue the test. No, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. She turned to face him, abandoning the test entirely. You're just trying to make me look bad. I could walk fine if you weren't standing there staring at me and making me nervous. Martinez made notes on his pad. Monica, based on what I've observed tonight, the smell of alcohol on your breath, your slurred speech, your performance on these tests, and the fact that you have 2 children in your vehicle, I have probable cause to believe you're driving under the influence. The words hit her like cold water. Her face changed completely. The entitled anger drained away, replaced by something that looked like genuine fear. Wait, no, you can't arrest me. My kids are here. That's exactly why this is so serious. But where will they go? Who's going to take care of them? Martinez kept his voice firm, but not unkind. We'll contact a family member to pick them up, but right now I need you to turn around and place your hands behind your back. No, no, no. She backed up a step, shaking her head rapidly. You can't do this. I'm their mother. They need me. You should have thought about that before you got behind the wheel drunk. Tears started streaming down her face, but they felt more like panic than remorse. Please, please don't do this. I'll call someone to come get us. I won't drive. I promise. Just please don't arrest me. It's too late for that. Turn around. Monica's breathing got faster, more shallow. She looked at Martinez, then at her truck where her kids were still watching through the window, then back at Martinez. You don't understand. I can't go to jail. I have a job. I have responsibilities. Those kids need me. Then you shouldn't have endangered them, Martinez said, pulling out his handcuffs. This isn't a debate. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. Now. This is bullshit, she yelled suddenly, her voice cracking. You're doing this because you can. You see a black woman and you just assume. I assume you're drunk because you smell like a brewery, you failed a sobriety test, and you were stopped in the middle of traffic with children in your car. Martinez cut her off. This has nothing to do with anything except your choices tonight. Now turn around. For a moment, he thought she might run. Her whole body tensed, her eyes darting toward the darkness beyond the parking lot. But then her shoulders sagged, and the fight went out of her all at once. She turned slowly, putting her hands behind her back. They were shaking. Martinez approached carefully and secured the handcuffs, making sure they weren't too tight but were locked properly. He could feel her trembling as he did the mandatory pat-down for weapons. Monica Hayes, you're under arrest for driving under the influence and child endangerment, he said, reading her the Miranda warning from memory. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Do you understand these rights? She didn't answer. She just stood there, head down, crying. Do you understand these rights? Martinez repeated. Yes, she whispered. Is there someone I can call to pick up your children? She gave him her mother's phone number, with a voice so small he could barely hear it. As he called dispatch to request a supervisor and social services, Monica stood beside his patrol car in handcuffs, still crying, watching her kids watch her through the truck window. A second officer arrived within minutes to handle the children and secure the vehicle. The kids started crying when they realized their mom was being taken away. The younger one, the 4-year-old, kept asking what was wrong, why the police were there, when they were going home. Martinez helped Monica into the back of his patrol car, one hand on her head to keep her from hitting the door frame. The ride to the station was silent except for Monica's quiet crying in the back seat. Martinez drove carefully, following procedure, occasionally glancing in the rearview mirror at the woman who'd gone from defiant to defeated in the span of 20 minutes. At the station, Monica was processed like any other DUI suspect. Fingerprints, photographs, property inventory. She cooperated now, all the fight gone out of her, moving through each step like a robot. The breathalyzer test came back at 0.14, nearly twice the legal limit of 0.08. When the booking officer showed her the result, Monica just stared at the number and said nothing. That's high. the officer said, especially with kids in the car. Monica closed her eyes. They placed her in a holding cell to sober up before her bail hearing. She sat on the metal bench, still wearing her dark hoodie, and put her head in her hands. Martinez finished his paperwork at his desk, documenting everything. The initial dispatch call, the traffic stop, the smell of alcohol, the failed sobriety tests, the breathalyzer result. The two children who'd been placed with their grandmother after a terrified phone call where the older woman had cried and asked what happened. What was Monica thinking? How could she do this? Child Protective Services had been notified. They'd open an investigation. Monica would face criminal charges that could include jail time, heavy fines, mandatory alcohol counseling, and possibly losing custody of her children, at least temporarily. All because she'd made one catastrophically bad choice. As Martinez filed his report, he thought about those two kids in the back seat, watching their mother get handcuffed and taken away. He thought about how that image would stick with them, how it might shape their view of police, of their mother, of safety itself. He'd been a cop long enough to know that some people learned from nights like this. They got help. They changed. They never put their kids in danger again. But he'd also been a cop long enough to know that some people didn't learn. They blamed everyone but themselves, served their time, and went right back to the same behavior. 3 days later, Monica Hayes stood in front of a judge at her arraignment, wearing an orange jumpsuit, and no longer crying. Her public defender stood beside her, a young woman who'd met her 30 minutes before the hearing. The prosecutor laid out the charges: driving under the influence, child endangerment, 2 counts, reckless driving, operating a vehicle with a suspended registration, something they discovered during the vehicle inventory. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s who'd seen thousands of DUI cases, looked at Monica over her reading glasses. "Miss Hayes, do you understand the charges against you?" "Yes, Your Honor," Monica said quietly. "How do you plead?" Her lawyer stepped in. "Not guilty, Your Honor. We request bail and—" "Bail is set at $20,000, the judge interrupted. "Miss Hayes, you're ordered to have no contact with your children except under supervised visitation until Child Protective Services completes their investigation. You're also ordered to install an ignition interlock device on any vehicle you operate, attend mandatory alcohol counseling, and appear at your preliminary hearing in 30 days. The gavel came down with a sharp crack that seemed to echo forever. Monica's mother posted bail the next day, using money she didn't really have. When Monica walked out of the detention center, her mother was waiting in the parking lot with a face full of disappointment that hurt worse than any jail cell. "How could you?" her mother asked as they drove away. "How could you put my grandbabies in danger like that?" Monica had no answer. What could she say? That she'd thought she was fine? That she'd only lived 2 minutes away? That she'd made a mistake? None of it mattered now. The mistake was made. The consequences were real. She'd lost her job within a week. Her employer had a zero-tolerance policy for criminal charges, especially ones involving children. Her ex-husband filed for emergency custody, using the arrest as proof that she was an unfit mother. The lawyer fees and court costs were piling up faster than she could count. But the worst part, the part that kept her awake at night, was the look on her kids' faces through that truck window as the police put handcuffs on their mother. The confusion, the fear. The moment they learned that Mom wasn't invincible, that she could make terrible choices, that she could be taken away. That was the real cost. Not the jail time or the fines or the suspended license. It was the trust she'd shattered, the safety she'd stolen from her own children, the memories she'd burned into their minds that would never fully go away. All for what? A few drinks? The arrogant belief that she could handle it, that the rules didn't apply to her, that 2 minutes was close enough? Monica Hayes learned that night what the judge already knew and what Officer Martinez had tried to tell her. When you get behind the wheel drunk with kids in the car, there is no good ending. There is only the bad one, and you earn every bit of it.